Yeah, welcome back from that commercial break, but this business edition is still going on. My name is Pedison Mombere. Getting to another story here, we are looking at the bus transportation way back in the days before independence up to now. And our reporter had most of the history. How was the bus transportation going on in those days of the independence up to date? Let's have more of this history, and you're going to learn that even before independence up to date, there were also buses that used to transport people either from Kampala to Kasese or from Kasese to Kampala. Let's hear more of this very story from our reporter.
Bus transport in Uganda dates back in the 1940s. Then, the Uganda Transport Company was the country's major bus company. On the piece of land where we had the bus park for decades, a huge shopping mall has been put in place. This is one piece of evidence that the rocky road, in relation with the bus transport, a commonest means of public transport for long distances, has trodden.
TC Transport had its terminal here in the city center, where there is a Bukwano building. That whole place facing the Chikubo place. There was even a petrol station called Toto. It used to belong to UTC even. So it almost had like an acre and more than an acre.
The late 60s was the best time for the bus business as well as passengers. They were always on schedule. If a passenger missed one bus, another was always on time. The buses would exchange routes so that if one took one route at a certain time, it could take a different one at another time of schedule. School children were not charged any fare as long as they were proper in school uniform.
People were enjoying it for one thing. They had their communication because the bus would leave here, then in Kayabwe. They had their offices in Kayabwe. Then they had another office in Masaka, whereby people would go there and book. For us individuals, we cannot manage to have all those. So that's why we feel this business of transport is not good for us. Most companies are going to fall out of the business.
These days, there are very many people who are employed in line with the bus transport company, including stewards and blockers, who have given hard time to bus owners and the fact that there is no public bus park. The privately owned bus parks cannot control them.
These days, the blockers, they give us also hard time. They even come and say, I've brought this person, you have to take him for this money. As if he's the one who bought the bus. Really, which is, we really don't know. Bosses of ours, the owners of the park, they cannot control those people. Unless I think it should be KCC, who has the enforcement officers who can work with those people. Otherwise, but since these parks are private owned, that's the major problem. The government has failed. If it could secure us a place and say that's a park for buses, I think then we would be able to control these blockers.
It is said that back in the time, there was no traffic jam as it is now. It is estimated that travelers lose between 8 and 23 hours every month in traffic jam, with car travel speeds falling from average of 28 kilometers per hour to between 8 and 14 kilometers per hour due to traffic jams, according to research conducted by Uganda Management Institute. But there has been a new innovation of introducing buses seeking to change the mobility sector in a way that will compel other industry players to raise up to standards.
The objective is to transform mobility within the city. And the solution we are bringing a mass carrier means of transport, that is the buses. You leave your car home and you're able to have a comfortable, well-organized means of transport. For example, if you're able to jump onto a bus, which is a comfortable means of transport, which is affordable, which is going to be a bit faster, I think it's going to reduce the number of vehicles on the road, because 10 people who use 10 cars are now going to be onto a bus. And that means that space is going to remain and can be used by another bus, for example, that is going to carry more other 35 people.
However, the veteran transporter said the Tondeka bus initiative is good since it is cheap and comfortable, but urged government to reconstruct bus stops for the betterment of the city.
The government, like they have introduced this Tondeka bus, I'm not seeing it in the city center. Mainly Tondeka is on the northern bypass. Yeah. Otherwise, if they would bring like those type of Tondeka bus, like 200 buses, I think those ones, they would be more useful here within the city center. But again, where to park them is also a problem with our city structure. So you have to go back and make those bus stations, bus stops within the city center.
Tondeka joins a number of other mass transit bus services, among them Pioneer Easy Bus, that have previously sought to change the manner in which the transport system in Kampala operates.
Yeah, this is the simple history that we brought for you people. You might not be knowing that during independence, before those days, there was also some buses transporting people from different places, from Barara, from Gulu, up to here. And according to this story, children were not being charged, those who are going to school. But these days, my dear, whether you're going to school, you're being charged, whether you're young or what, you're being charged. Those people of those days, for them, they are okay. But let us get to another story here. Over the weekend, the permanent secretary to the judiciary, Mr. Pius Vigirimana, castigated government workers of laziness, incompetence, and corruption. And this, I think, castigated this. It's because of this that the Minister for Public Service, Murul Mukasa, said it's high time, I think, these government people or government employees should be working on contract system. If you've not done well, if you've not performed, your contract will not be renewed. I did this story, and let's have more of this very well. The Code of Conduct and Ethics for Uganda Public Service sets out standards of behavior service and is designed to ensure objectivity, transparency, integrity, and efficiency of public officers when performing their duties. However, some sorts of laziness, corruption, and incompetence have been identified among these servants, which, according to stakeholders, has affected the service delivery.
However, what can we do? Now that we have this report and it has singled out that gap or that weakness, then obviously we are going to sit down and see the measures that we need to take. Policy measures, we need to take even administrative measures, we need to take even legal measures, all measures that we must take to ensure that this situation changes. And the situation cannot be permanent. We are also thinking seriously about introducing contracts to the certain cadre of our government employees, especially those who have the greatest impact, particularly the administrators. Yes, so if you are on contract, you have been given a set of duties or tasks to carry out, and you have been given the means, the wherewithal of doing this work, and you don't do it, we don't renew your contract. I think measures are going to be taken to really gradually and slowly eliminate this gap.
It's not the public. What I will minister with the ministry, the public service I enter is not the public service you have now. It has degenerated, both in terms of the quality and the service delivery. And I come to the question he was asking when he talked about the wrong people in the right places at the wrong time. In the public service, you must get profits by delivering the services. People of this country will be happy if any service is being delivered, if case backlog is being reduced, if water, clean water is delivered to the people of Uganda, people will have, those are the profits. And you should be paid for that. We are actually earning what you have not invested. People are waiting for their salaries to come, and that's it. Not all of them, there are some who are very hard working, there are many who are hard working, but a good number of them, if you want to do a survey, you will find that many, maybe as low as 30% are investing a lot of time to deliver services to this country. 70%, as I told you, are like part-time. They come to the office because they have to come to the office to be seen. But if you ask each and every public servant, what have we done today? Of the tasks you are given, what have we completed? There are very few who will answer those questions. It comes now back to the question of who are these people?
During the National Service Delivery Survey dissemination meeting, leaders says that government programs have in the past been greatly affected by civil servants who are bent on fulfilling their own personal aspirations at the expense of the public.
There are some of these weaknesses which have been observed, you know, as Mr. Pius Bigirimana mentioned. Yes, people who actually cheat on work. They are there, they come, they don't do much, they go away, and they are paid. That is a form of theft, really. It is corruption.
I can't leave this place without talking about corruption, like the Permanent Secretary talked about it. I think for me, is I said previously that if you go to Japan and you have stolen money, you harm yourself. It's a no. You harm yourself. You don't blame. You don't even further cause. In China, they help you to harm you. But in this country, I don't need to work anywhere close to even discouraging people from getting money from public service. It's extremely. We are still our laws. We have the policies, the laws, but I think enforcement is becoming a bit of a challenge. Just a few cases, you know, IGG, you steal money now, it is a negotiation. I don't know if bias is this the new norm of negotiating. Please, you have taken this money, bring it back. You write an agreement to agree that I will pay back the money I have taken. I don't know if it is part of bargaining that has come in place.
According to Inspectorate of Government report to Parliament, January-June 2022, the IG created a Directorate of Special Investigations to expeditiously investigate organized, syndicated and high-profile cases of corruption of value in excess of 1 billion shillings. During the period, a total of 566 were investigated and completed. Some of the high-profile cases involved mismanagement of funds by Director Local Government Administration and permanent secretaries.
It's not job to promote corruption. So I think it's very important, every stakeholder, you are accountable to ensure that what is in here is implemented to the dot.
What's there? And the more we deepen technology, the more we deepen e-government, the less corruption will be possible. And eventually, the detection rate will go up, and when you're detected, you're broadcast, and you are shut out of the system. But secondly, science, technology, and innovation, we are here to give Ugandans a positive vibe. Sometimes people are corrupt because they feel that the world is ending, so they must steal whatever they need to steal now. But when we have a very promising future, why steal? When you know what you can get out of your chicken when it hatches, why eat the egg? So we are also working on the mindset of the nation.
According to the same report, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the investigation recommended for a recovery of 1,120,942,504, out of which 618,549,714 was recovered and deposited on the IG asset recovery account. This is how far we have gone in as far as fighting corruption in this country is concerned. You've had people talking about government employees being lazy, incompetent, and most of them have started practicing corruption in these government officials and in these government offices, something that has led to poor economic growth, and this has triggered the Public Service Ministry to start giving them jobs based on contract system. And if you fail to deliver, then that means your contract will not be renewed. I mean to say, so you better pull up your socks. We are getting into another story here. We're speaking the Evidence to Action 2022 that is going to look at the policies that are going to enhance trade within the continuing effects of COVID-19. Our reporter was there speaking policy with these women of this country. Let us have more from this very story.
The current context and the challenges facing the world and compounded by the conflict in Ukraine and the food shortages, insecurity, as well as the rising fuel prices and shortages, sound evidence is essential to inform policy making and development actions, as Right Honorable Justin Lumumba explains.
A person will not think of how to make money, but only to look for food. So once we go into issues and put a lot of efforts in the parish development model, as a team, everybody included, we shall also solve the issues to do with food security. And once we solve the issues of people entering the money economy, issues of health will be dealt with. You'll have people who can listen to you, because whatever you tell them, they will be looking at it in terms of money. And that will help us turn around also issues to do with health.
The conference aims to nurture the use of evidence-based policy decision-making and action in Africa, especially in the drive towards the realization of Agenda 2063 and Agenda 2030 goals within the disruptions of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Very exciting for many reasons, and that we all are involved in development programs, development activities, but we never take time to get evidence, data collected, analyzed, organized before we draw up our development programs and activities. If we don't do that before, it is difficult to evaluate the achievements of development programs without having prepared them based on evidence.
All of what the coordinators or the facilitators expect from this, and I will also get so many experiences which is useful in our country to transform Africa as well as to transform Uganda, Ethiopia and the like, because we have resources, as I said. So by using evidence and by making evidence-based policy making, to solve our challenges or our problems, evidence is very important.
Uganda's Vision 2040 identifies human capital development as a key fundamental for development. The National Development Plan, too, emphasizes the importance of creating an environment in which people can develop their full potential and lead productive and creative lives in line with their needs and interests. The plan identified skills development as means to raise productivity and incomes to enhance competitiveness of the economy. Honorable Henry Musasizi indicates as the Ministry of Finance has contributed to about 30% youth and women empowerment.
Where government focuses on financing, particularly on health, on education, on youth empowerment, and also women empowerment. We have supported over the years the youth agenda and the women agenda through creating special funds. We have the Youth Empowerment Fund, which has supported a number of youth throughout the country. We have the Women Fund, which has supported the women, and also in order to enable them get wealth, we spent about 32 billion going to the youth, to the women alone. And the youth fund, the livelihood fund, has received over 300 billion in the years it has been operating.
The generation and use of evidence-based and relevant policies to support development will lead to development of societies where innovative insights to support business recovery plans using evidence and evaluation systems are used.